Tom Clark's Main Event is a Boink Studios production. Follow us on Twitter at Boink Studios and check out our Facebook page where you can see all of our projects, past, present, and future. And now, on with the show.
This is Daddy's show. Step off.
Hey, what is up? Welcome to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and you are listening to Tom Clark's Main Event. This is episode number 47 of the podcast, and if you're joining us today for the very first time, we will bid you welcome. If you're coming back for a repeat visit, we say, hey, thanks for checking back in. And to all of those involved, we extend to you, as always, the customary laurel and a hearty handshake. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reading. Thanks for supporting us. And hey, thanks for always being there, Doc. Now that we have done the usual introductions there, I've thought about changing them a couple of different times. I've had some feedback along the way, and I've had several people say, don't change it, man. We love it. Actually, that's never happened. But I'm a creature of habit. Anyone that knows me can tell you I'm a creature of habit, so I'm probably not going to change anytime soon. So in case you just missed that wonderful intro, this is number 47. 47, man. We're 3 away from the big 50, the big 50. That's a landmark for me, I'm telling you right now. Anyone that's followed the show, hopefully you've enjoyed the ride. You've had fun along the way, yes. That's our intention, as always, here at Boink Studios. Speaking of being at Boink Studios, I'm not right now. If you hear any noise in the background, you're going to hear cars and maybe some car doors and some people choosing to rev their engines for no good reason. That's right, folks. We're out in the public, if you will, today. So I had some thoughts, and I couldn't wait until we got back to the studio today. So I thought, hey, I've got a few minutes. Why not get some thoughts out there and do a show? So that's what we're doing here. So hopefully you will enjoy. This time the main event is WWE's Hall of Fame. This could actually be like a 9-part series on the Hall of Fame because there's a lot to talk about, and there's not. If that makes any sense, and if it doesn't, just hang on because it will hopefully make sense here eventually. There's a lot to talk about in terms of what people think the Hall of Fame should be. A lot of people out there believe that so-and-so should be in, this guy should be in, this girl should be in, and why they feel they should be in. And the other people say, well, there's people in there that have no business being in. They should be took out for various different reasons. And there's people going in right now that have no business going in. So to answer your question, yes, it is. It's a very big topic. And depending on where you fall on this thing, it really all just depends on your point of view. But the Hall of Fame is, like I said before, it's a big topic, and it's not. It's not a big topic because at the end of the day, there's only one guy making the decision. And that's Vince McMahon, of course. And Vince can get opinions. He can make conversations. He can make phone calls. He can have Triple H or Stephanie or Shane or whoever else that's around him in creative. Any of the writers and any of the road agents backstage that were former hands themselves. Any of those people can come up, put their 2 cents worth in, I suppose. But at the end of the day, it's Vince's call. It's not the WWE Hall of Fame as much as it is Vince McMahon's Hall of Fame. Vince McMahon is WWE, right? So it's his Hall of Fame to begin with. So for anyone out there getting really upset, and I've written columns based on this very topic in the past several different times over, you really got to take it into perspective, man, and take it for what it is. And the Hall of Fame is basically just a public recognition, a platform, if you will, to give public recognition for the superstars that have paved the way for the guys that are wrestling today. That's a great big fat definition for a basic Hall of Fame that's not real, but is real at the same time. It's a very catch-22 situation when it comes to WWE's Hall of Fame, man. Anyone that gets upset over it, it's kind of an absurd notion, but they sort of have the right to be upset sometimes. You see what I'm saying? It's a very subjective thing. This is not a baseball Hall of Fame or a football Hall of Fame where it's like, it's based on career statistics. It's based on, your stats through the years. Were you a good player? Do you deserve to be in there? Do you have any rings? How many tackles did you have? How many hits did you have? I mean, how long were you in the majors? How long were you in pro football, NFL? I mean, and it's a different criteria. But don't get me wrong, man. They've got their own set of politics just as pro wrestling does. Pete Rose is part of the politics there. O.J. Simpson is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and a lot of people say you should take him out. But despite what anyone says, you were in the Hall of Fame in NFL, not NBA, but NFL, well, NBA too, of course, I suppose. NFL, Major League Baseball. Hopefully, with any luck, you're in those halls of fame because of your career, because of what you contributed to that league, to that individual league, and what you did in your individual career. That's why you're in there to begin with. That's not pro wrestling, man. It never has been, never will be. There's NWA Hall of Fame, which is fantastic. There's other halls of fame out there. It just depends on where you're talking about and what their own criteria is. But Hall of Fame is very subjective in pro wrestling. It really is. It's based upon who you like the most, really. You might not have, like your choices for the Hall of Fame. I'll give you an example. Maybe Bruno Sammartino is not in your Hall of Fame. It sounds crazy, right? But let me just tell you this, man. I'm down south, grew up down here, and still live here. And Bruno, when I was a kid, I didn't care about Bruno. Bruno wasn't an actual pro wrestler, in my opinion. He was a brawler. You know what I'm saying? He was a brawler. He was a tough guy. And, he could take me out in a heartbeat. I'm not questioning his toughness. I was just, I grew up with Flair. I grew up with Dusty. I grew up with Tully, with Arn, with Madden, with Nikita. I grew up with Wahoo McDaniel. I grew up watching Nick Bockwinkel and Vern Gagne. I grew up watching pro wrestlers, man. I grew up watching guys knowing how to wrestle, not entertain, but wrestle. And I think Bruno was the very early stages of WWE becoming WWF becoming WWE at some point, and pro wrestlers being categorized as sports entertainers. I think Bruno was he's in the very infancy stage of those terms becoming reality, because he was good in the ring for his time for what he did, but he was no Ric Flair. So in your own personal Hall of Fame, maybe Bruno's not in it. He's in it for the amount of money he drew, that he outsold. He sold Madison Square Garden, sold the place out, in other words. Probably still holds the record for selling out the Garden. That's fantastic. He made money for the company. So if that's your criteria, is making money, then absolutely he's in. If it's a little bit of all of it, maybe he's in anyway. I don't know. It's just a small example. You can go to the other extreme and say, hey, we're talking about the Hall of Fame. Let's just go ahead and get in there right now. What about Benoit? Does Chris Benoit deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? I don't write about Chris anymore. I've only written about Chris one time since what happened. I don't write about it. I don't talk about it. I don't debate about it, because you know why? It's in the past. Let it go, man. No sense in talking about it anymore. No sense in grieving over it, because what's done is done, and we've all moved on. I don't feel he should be in the Hall of Fame, because it's not, again, Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame is a very subjective idea. It's a very subjective thing. It's not a, okay, Chris held X number of world championships. He rallied his team to victory. He did this. There was no team. You see what I'm saying? It was one guy and his own individual contributions. And Chris could have been the best guy you'd ever met, the best friend to many, like a brother to many, like a father figure to many. But what he did, his last act on this earth, became the moment that defined his entire life. And whether you like that or not, whether you lose sleep over that or not, and I haven't lost sleep over it, over the decision that I made a long time ago to dismiss this guy. I've not lost sleep over that at all. And people can take that for what it's worth. People tried to debate me on that. There's no debate. The guy murdered his son. I have a 7-year-old son. Anyone that touches him is a dead man. Okay, that's bottom line. And as it should be. That's what a parent should do, is protect your children. And I've heard the excuses made. He was this, concussion, X, Y, and Z. But, he knew it. I'll put it this way, and then we're going to move on, okay, because I don't want to talk about this anymore. He knew enough. He knew enough that he had done wrong, that he killed himself to get out of going to jail, going to prison. And just chew on that the next time you want to give this guy a pass. Okay? I'm just saying. In my opinion, no place in the Hall of Fame. And I don't think you'll ever see it happen. There's others like him that, of course, not to that degree. But another name that's in the news right now that's coming up like crazy, Tammy Sitch, Sunny herself. Now, if you follow Sunny on Twitter, it's a very interesting follow, man. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, sit back and buckle up, man, because dude, she goes off. She speaks her mind. She's all this, that, and the other thing. And she's on Twitter so much at times, I kind of sit back and say, God, I guess I kind of question, what are you doing all day? You know what I'm saying? Not saying she doesn't have a life. It's just, she allows herself, she allows people to upset her. She allows them to ruffle her feathers. She's kind of letting it happen. So, and then she goes off on them. So, are you creating the environment? Are you creating that situation? Are you inviting people in to bash you and trash you and just so you can go off on them? I don't know, because I don't know her personally, so I can't answer that. But it does seem like it's a real bait and switch kind of thing. Well, I'm going to say what I want, do this, that, and the other, but if you criticize me, I'm going to bash you over the head. So I don't know, man. I don't know how. Like I said, go check out her Twitter feed if you haven't seen it. Go give her a follow. You'll be it's a very different kind of experience. She does Skype sessions, which I assume you have to pay for, in which she gets into various different stages of undress. That's been talked about for a while. She has made a porno with Vivid Entertainment, I believe is the company. And I've seen the trailer for it. And, you look at it and you're like, wow, that's Sunny. And she's, having all kinds of fun. This is a PG show, man. I keep it clean, right? But now, do you kick her out of the Hall of Fame? Do you look at that and say, well, she has no business being in the Hall of Fame now because look what she did. She had sex on tape for money. I mean, I don't know, dude, because that's a PR nightmare. If I'm Vince WWE, I never mention her on the air again. You see what I'm saying? It's not like you're trying to, like what they did with Benoit, where they're trying to act like erase him from existence. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying go the route of never show her on the network. I'm not saying take her name out of print. I'm not saying take her out of the hall. But I would never mention that chick on the air because honestly, you're setting yourself up. And you're setting yourself up to be attacked. Not just from fans, but from critics, of course, and from the people who are the stockholders in the company and the sponsors and everyone that they're beholden to. And they're beholden to a lot of people, man. Make no mistake about it. See, that's kind of where I'm at with that. I'm not going to sit back and judge Tammy Sitch. We all have skeletons in our closet. We've all done things we're not proud of. No one's perfect. For that matter, does anyone truly belong in a Hall of Fame, period? Despite what level it is or what sport it is. How many of those people, if their actions came to light of day, would you be ashamed of them? Would you denounce them immediately? No one is perfect, man. Sunny's no different than you or me in terms of she's not perfect. Maybe you haven't had sex on tape for money, but she has. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to bash her, don't get me wrong here. Whatever her choices are in her life, that's her business. But when you're a public figure and they're displayed all over the world and then people come knocking at your door to criticize you, don't get very upset because you sort of opened the door to that to begin with. And I'm not going to soapbox on her anymore. I don't think I need to. You get the point, right? And everyone's got an opinion about Tammy right now too, to be honest with you. But do you see what I'm saying? There's a lot of opinions out there. Does Coco Beware belong in the Hall of Fame? I've had many conversations, and that's become a running joke between me and certain other people. And the Coco's name has come up, and the comment has always been, "Hey, Coco's in the Hall of Fame. Why not?" See what I mean? And Coco, he came up during the territories, right? I mean, he was before he had the bird and everything, and WWF made him a cartoon character, as they did everyone that ever come up under that company, under Vince, under the 80s, right? Coco was a comic book character, and a cartoon character, and that's what he was. Does he deserve to be in Hall of Fame? No. I'm not saying he couldn't work. He wasn't exactly Dean Malenko, but I mean, he wasn't bad. He wasn't terrible. But does he deserve to be in Hall of Fame? No. But he's in there. You're going to cry about it? There's no point crying about it. Again, keep it in perspective, man. Who's going in this year? Godfather's going in this year. Now, I've read some stuff about Godfather where people are critical of the guy. I'll put it to you this way. You know what the first thing everyone points to? Well, look at how many characters he played. He was Papa Shango. He was the Godfather. He was the good father. He was somebody else too. And it's escaping me at the moment. You have to forgive me for that one. But, dude, if you could get in based just on characters alone, then how come Goldust isn't in there yet? You see what I'm saying? If that were the criteria, then there's 200 guys out there that should be in the Hall of Fame based on the number of characters they portrayed alone. That means nothing to anybody, man. It never will. So anyone espousing that idea that, oh, he's in because look how many characters he played. Papa Shango wasn't over. Don't bring me that noise. You might have fond memories of Papa Shango, but I don't. I don't have one fond memory of that guy. I thought it was an absurd character. It fit right into WWF at that time because WWF was nothing but a three-ring circus. Many would argue it still is, yes? But don't bring that crap to me because I'm not having that at all, man. So if you want to say that the guy deserved to go in because, no matter what he was given to do, he made the best of it. He persevered. He was entertaining. He threw himself completely into his character, despite what character it was. I'll bite on that one. I'm with that. Charles Wright's the man's name, and you got to believe this is a very big deal to him. The Godfather will have the whole train in full effect come WrestleMania weekend. He will, and it'll be the Hall of Fame. He'll be entertaining. He'll probably be the highlight of the night. There are other guys that are going in for the first time, finally, you should say. Sting is headlining the class of 2016 here. It's about time, yes. A lot of people would argue that WWE, we're jumping like time traveling here, aren't we? We do that a lot here on the show, to be honest with you, man. But this is a long time coming for Sting. A lot of people would argue that they waited to do this until Sting was actually in the company. How do you feel about Sting's run with WWE, by the way? Because there's a lot of people that hate it. Oh my God, they hate every second of it, man. I can't argue the point too awful much because there's many moments during the course of Sting's run where you're going, "Hoy vey, what happened there?" You see what I'm saying? A lot of people would argue they didn't do right by Sting. Can I ask you a question? Not to defend the McMahon family or WWE Creative, it is what it is. But what would you have done to book Sting? Would you have just given the guy the keys to the kingdom the minute he shows up? I mean, does that make any sense to anybody out there? I wouldn't have done that. I mean, Sting is a respected veteran. He's one of those guys that's been in the business forever. He's won all kinds of world championships. I think he's up to 14 or something like that. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. I've never disputed that. He should have gone in a long time before now, dude. No doubt about it. But I guess what I'm saying to you and my question to you is, being honest about it right now, man, between you and me and, hey, everybody else listen to the show right now. What would you have done? What would you have done with Sting to get, do you give him the title the minute he gets there? Of course you don't. You want to show him respect and you want to treat him with respect and you want to, showcase him as a legend that he is, but how far do you let that go? He wrestled Seth Rollins in a title shot. He wrestled Triple H at WrestleMania. People act like he wasn't given anything. Now, could it have been better? Well, of course it could have been better. He could have had many, many moments where the light goes out and it come back up and he's, oh my God. Remember the night when he's with Orton in the ring? Dude, that stands out to me as one of the coolest moments I've ever seen. Where Randy just stands there and he just very slowly looks to his right, or was it his left, I think, whatever it was. And there's Sting and you're like, oh my God, this is so cool. You know what I mean? I'm laughing right now. It's so awesome. Those kind of moments make a career, man. Did they, as in WWE, did they do the right thing by Sting? Dude, I don't know. I guess time's going to tell on that one. The one that you should care about, the opinion that should matter to you, is Sting's himself. What's he had to say about the company? It'll be interesting to see when the time comes that he's, there's no possibility for him to come back in the ring, when he states flat out, listen, I'm done. I've had fun, but it's time. Then I'll be interested to see what happens then. What's his comments then? And, it's hard for anyone currently on WWE's payroll or even linked to WWE's payroll to speak up and tell what they really feel. And it's also, of course, hard for anyone just outside the company to come up and honestly say what they feel about Vince McMahon, the family, the company, and WWE itself. Why? Because they want another run. Because guys that are smart don't burn bridges. That's why Matt Hardy looks good. He still sounds good. He's still working in the ring. He's Teenage World Heavyweight Champion. That's why Jeff's still been given a chance, because at the end of the day, anyone who's anyone can bash Vince, can bash WWE, but secretly, everyone's wanting that one last run. I defy you to show me someone that doesn't care for it. And if you come up with someone, kudos to you, man. But I'm telling you right now, whether you had a great run with them or a good run or no run, you want to end your career in WWE. I mean, it's like I don't know what the equivalent would be. Maybe in baseball, the equivalent would be you go to play your last season with the Yankees. Just to say that you played with the biggest team in the league. You see what I'm saying? The most historic team, next to the Cubs, I guess you could say. But, or the Dodgers. I mean, just think about that, man. Think about how important that is for guys to say that you went out, with the biggest brand in the history of your chosen profession. You went out in that locker room, in that ring, working for that guy, with those guys, with those gals in that locker room. That's a big deal, man, to get one nice contract with WWE's, logo on the check, man. You see what I'm saying? Just to say, okay, I made it. I'm going to spend my last 5 years or my last year or my next 20 here, whatever it is. I mean, that's a big deal, man. That's a big deal to everybody involved. So, Sting, of course, would want to end his career in WWE. I'm curious to see what's going to be said when the end comes for him in the ring, what his comments are going to be on how he felt about the whole thing. I mean, honest comments, apart from a WWE interview, apart from interviews where WWE media is taking a look at it and all that kind of stuff. I mean, honest to God comments, because Sting is as honest as the day is long, dude, right? So he'll be straight up with you on everything. I can't wait to read those comments and hear what the guy has to say. So it's a long time coming for Sting. Who else is going to the Hall of Fame class 2016? Which, by the way, yes, it's going to be in Texas and Dallas. How about... And I'm smiling again, by the fabulous, by God, Freebirds. It's about time, man. It's about time. Michael P.S. Hayes, Terry Bam Bam Gordy, Buddy Jack Roberts, and, yes, Jimmy Jam Garvin, the guy I knew as Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin. Well-deserved for Jimmy. I'm glad they included him. I'm happy to see Jimmy included. He deserves to be there. He had a great gimmick with Gorgeous. Go back and watch the old Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin stuff from the old NWA. And don't watch it on WWE Network. See if you can find it on YouTube, especially because he used a Sharp Dressed Man by ZZ Top. His whole entrance was mapped out for him. He constantly was fixing his hair. And this is not a gimmick that he created. This gimmick had been around for years. You know what I'm saying? Been around for a long time. I mean, just, it's always been there. Always going to be there, of course, obviously. And it's just that pretty boy gimmick. You know what I mean? It's just that pretty boy gimmick. It's that... It's the idea of, oh God, look at me. I'm the best looking guy here. I'm sexy. I'm dead sexy. Women love me. Men want to be me. I mean, everybody ran that gimmick, I mean, Gorgeous George laid the foundation for that gimmick, dude. Gorgeous George straight up laid the foundation for that gimmick. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, Ravishing Rick Rude, you know what I mean? Any guy, Tyler Breeze for that matter, any guy that's ever come after Gorgeous George is just doing what Gorgeous George did first. You know what I'm saying? And anybody that's just like anybody in NBA that's ever took a trick shot or a trick pass or, especially passing the ball, Pistol Pete Maravich did it first. You know what I'm saying? So everyone's just doing what Pistol Pete did to begin with. It's sort of that same idea. But, again, so glad to see Jimmy Garvin getting in. And, man, you talk about a long time coming. Sadly, Terry and Buddy are no longer with us, and that's a crying shame. And I'm going to tell you right now, I had this conversation not too long ago with a friend. WWE as a company should be embarrassed. I mean, literally embarrassed, because the Fabulous Freebirds deserved to go in 15, 20 years ago. And I cannot believe to this very minute that I'm sitting here talking to you folks right now that it took to the year 2016 for this to happen. That company should be ashamed of themselves. The fact that Michael P.S. Hayes has been working for that company all these years, and these guys see him every day, and nobody cared to give these guys recognition. Let's say you're not a fan of Michael, you're not a fan of who he is as a person, whatever, it's fine. But he works for the company. He's right there. So, what? You see what I'm saying? And you see him every day, and it never occurs to you, hey, wait, how come you're not in the Hall of Fame? Dude, the conversations were had more often than not. I would assume, and I don't know this for sure, so don't quote me on this, man, because I'm not writing a story about it anytime soon, but I would assume that there was something somewhere stopping the company from making or putting these guys in the Hall of Fame. That's my guess. I don't know what that something could be, whether Michael did or said something, or there was something said to Michael, or whatever it was. But WWE waited a really long time. And again, as a pro wrestling company, as the number one pro wrestling company on the planet, they should be flat out embarrassed with themselves. They really should be. It's disgusting it took this long. I'm happy. I'm mad at the same time. And I'll be the first guy to stand up and celebrate it and give him a standing ovation, man. I can't wait to see Michael take the stage and give and accept the award in honor of Buddy and Terry. And what great times, man. The Freebirds versus the Von Erichs, one of the best wars in the history of the business. And you can count them on one hand. The best wars, the best rivalries, the best long-standing feuds, Piper and Hogan. You could say to a certain extent Savage and Steamboat. Dusty and Rick. The Horseman and Dusty. Magnum and Nikita. Tully and Dusty. You know what I mean? And the Freebirds versus the Von Erichs. You know what I mean? Just the Midnight Rockers versus Playboy Buddy Rose and Pretty Boy Doug Summers. Long-standing rivalries that helped form a company that drew people, that drew fans. Because at the end of the day, and I've said this a million times, if I've said it once here on the show, man, pro wrestling is about drawing money. Whoever can draw the most money for the company should be the top guys. And the Freebirds were top guys wherever they went. And they deserved to be because they could draw money. Michael Hayes, he had that rock star look, man, and that image. And the Freebirds brought rock and roll to the business before anyone else ever did. And just compelling, impressive, entertaining, amazing stuff. I love going back and watching the old clips of the Fabulous Freebirds, man. It's just Texas Stadium versus the Von Erichs. I mean, oh my God, can you get any better than that? I submit that you cannot. I'm so glad to see these guys in the hall, man. It does my heart good. Should do your heart good, too, to be a pro wrestling fan and finally see the best rock and roll trio, short of Cream, short of any other rock trio you can name off the top of your head, man. Short of King's X. Finally get their just due, get their just reward for a lifetime worth of entertaining fans and making money and respecting their craft enough to want to be the best at it. And hats off to them, man. And all the best, of course, to Terry and Buddy's families, obviously. Great stuff. Really looking forward to that. So see how I just popped for the Freebirds going to the Hall of Fame? That's the great part about the Hall of Fame, man, is that, again, the Hall of Fame is a way to give public recognition to the superstars that paved the way for the current roster. That should be it. That's what it's meant to be. And if your favorite doesn't get in, it doesn't get in. If your favorite gets kicked out, it gets kicked out. I mean, it's, again, for anyone to get upset over, I've never understood it. One of the great things about AJ being there, has anyone thought about this, by the way? One of the great things about AJ being in WWE now, he's probably going to get in the WWE Hall of Fame. Dude, don't tell me he can't. I mean, there's been guys getting the Hall of Fame. Vern Gagne got in the Hall of Fame, okay, for his contributions to the business. Not necessarily WWE. So I say AJ goes in the Hall of Fame 5 years from now, whatever it is, whenever he hangs it up. I'm serious, man, and he should. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not just recognition for what a guy did for Vince McMahon. It's recognition for what a guy did for the business itself. And it's important to fans. At the end of the day, who's it important to? It's important to fans. Because it's WWE's way of saying, okay, look, maybe he wasn't a WWE guy. Maybe he wasn't a Vince McMahon guy or gal or whatever the case may be. Maybe they weren't a Vince McMahon tag team, whatever the case may be there as well. But this team, this guy, this gal was here and paved the way in the business. And we're going to show you that we appreciate what they did for the business. Because the WWE Hall of Fame is the most public, the most worldwide recognized, the most world-renowned pro wrestling Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And if they don't have them, it's a big deal. But to have them is a very big deal as well. See what I'm saying? Because if they don't have them, it doesn't really matter what other Hall of Fame that guy does or doesn't land in. It matters to the fans who keep up with it, but not to the world at large. You see what I'm saying? And when the casual fan out there, the casual person that maybe doesn't know pro wrestling too much, that doesn't hate on it, but they hear the words Hall of Famer Ric Flair, Hall of Famer Hulk Hogan. Well, they're going to obviously be like, well, yeah, of course they are. See what I'm saying? That kind of goes along with it. Well, yeah, Hall of Famer. There you go. Hall of Famer Roddy Piper. Bam, there you go, man. There's a lot of other guys that aren't in, by the way, that should, if Tom can give his 2 cents worth, and I hope I can. It's my show. Chief Wahoo McDaniel. Why is Wahoo McDaniel not in the Hall of Fame? Someone tell me that. Why is Bob Caudle not in the Hall of Fame? You see what I'm saying? Jim Ross is in. Gordon Solie is in. They're both masters of their profession. God bless them. Bob Caudle, you couldn't be an NWA Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling fan back in the day and not know Bob Caudle. He was the voice of that company for a long time, him with Tony Schiavone. Does Tony Schiavone ever get to go in the Hall of Fame? I'm being straight up about this, man. They need to start doing better service and more recognition and more props given to the guys and gals that made Mid-Atlantic and NWA Jim Crockett Promotions tick and made them great. Barry's in the Hall of Fame for the Horsemen. Thank God. I'm glad to see it. Love to see him go in by himself, but it's probably not going to happen. I'd love to see Nikita Koloff go in. You know what I mean? I'd love to see that happen. That'd be an awesome ad for them, because I think Nikita deserves it. Chief Wahoo McDaniel definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and if anybody does, it's him. I haven't heard anything, in case you're wondering, but I got my fingers crossed because he is from Texas. He was from Midland, Texas, if I remember correctly. I'd love to see Wahoo McDaniel go in the Hall of Fame this year, and I think Ric Flair should induct him in the Hall of Fame because Wahoo was Ric's idol, and Ric got into business. He loved working. That's where Ric got the chop from, by the way. You knew that, right? I mean, go back and listen to the biggest chops in the history of the business, and man, Wahoo had them. And just a great all-around athlete, great football player. Crowd would chant his name, Wahoo, right? Wahoo had it all, man, and he was very entertaining. He was a very captivating guy. He was good in the ring. He could talk. He could work. A lot like Dusty. He was a big guy, but he could work lights out. He could work an hour match, not even breathe hard. And that's what you had to do in Jim Crockett Promotions, man. You had to earn your keep, you know what I'm saying? Today's different. Not going to get into that right now, but you know how it goes. So I'd love to see Chief Wahoo McDaniel in. I'd love to see the Rock and Roll Express put in the Hall of Fame. Someone explain to me why the Rock and Roll Express not in the Hall of Fame. What about the Midnight Express? And I'm talking about all 3 of them. Actually, all 4. Stan. Well, I don't know if... see, that's a tough one, man. I was going to say 4, but, You've got the original Loverboy Dennis and Beautiful Bobby. Then you have Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan. And see, I don't know, man. It's a tough one right there. Those 3 guys should be in for sure. But the other Midnight Express that Paulie, of course, then Paulie dangerously managed. I mean, do they go in? I don't know. That's a good question, man. And I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I think that maybe the 4 of them should, but for sure the 3 original Midnight Express should definitely go in, and Jim Cornette goes in with them. Here's the problem there. Jim Cornette, there's probably, I'm guessing some bad blood with WWE and Jim Cornette. I mean, I don't know specifically what it is, but Jim likes to run his mouth, and he does it all the time, and God bless him. But if there's something like that that's going on in the past, that's what's kept the Midnight Express out of the Hall of Fame. That's a shame. But I'd love to see both Express teams go in because, honest to God, man, and when you talk about tag teams in the history of the business, who besides the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express have not gone in that deserve to go in? I mean, can you give me somebody better? I don't know if there's anybody any better to begin with, dude. I mean, honestly, I think they deserve to go in for sure. There's different guys out there that deserve to go in the Hall of Fame. There's a lot more that deserve to go in the Hall of Fame. I'm not suggesting that there's just the NWA guys. There's some world-class guys. I mean, why is Rick Rude not in the Hall of Fame yet? I mean, can you answer me that one? You see what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like, again, this is one guy's opinion, man. This is one fan, one writer giving you his take on it. And everyone's got their own take. Everyone's got their own opinion. It just depends on what your opinion is, what your take on it is. I will tell you this right now, because we're getting ready to take this thing home. But I will tell you this right now. When it comes to Hall of Fame, it is all a matter of opinion. Like it or not, to love or to leave it, whatever you want to call it, man. It's all a matter of opinion. Whatever it is you think, you're probably going to be right or wrong. You see what I'm saying? There's no rock solid fact or guarantee for any guy or gal or for any fan that's out there, man. That's the dead truth of it, man. That's the dead truth of it. Why? Because pro wrestling and Hall of Fame, especially WWE, there's one guy calling the shots, and it's a very subjective thing. It's a very subjective thing. We've all already been over that. You already knew it before you listen to this show. You're going to know it after this show's over, man. So let me just give you this piece of advice. Take it for what it's worth and enjoy it. Have fun. Watch your favorites get up there. And when your favorites don't get put in, raise a stink about it, man. Get on Twitter. Get on Facebook. Get a petition going if you need to. Do whatever you got to do. You know, I say get Wahoo in the Hall of Fame ASAP, man. Make it happen like yesterday. So, you know, again, to see your favorites up there, even if it's a posthumous induction where the family accepts or whatever it is, dude, that works too. Whatever it takes to get that person recognized, get that person a pound of back, a well-deserved pound of back, I might add, for a career's worth of entertaining, of making you happy, of putting butts in the seats and making money for that company, and most important of all, for doing the best they could to leave the business better than when they found it. That's what's the most important thing is here for people. And for anyone out there that disagrees, well, you're entitled to your own opinion, but you're going to be wrong. So that's Tom's way of looking at it. I think I've soapboxed plenty enough. Interestingly enough, actually, episode number 46 was just a little over half hour, and this one is too. This is not going to be a trend. This is just actually the time I had allotted, the time available, I should say, because I usually allot at least an hour for my shows. So having said that, we're going to start plugging, so I hope you're ready. Here we go. Speaking of an hour, please go check out our sister podcast, Tom and Kyle's Comedy Action Hour. We're trudging away on that sucker, and we hope you've enjoyed the show so far. We've got some great emails, some nice tweets, some very gracious comments. We are very gracious for your comments, I should say. Thank you very much for listening. Please continue to tune in. We are available on iTunes and Google Play, so please go subscribe and download today. If you haven't done it yet, shame on you. You're missing out. It's me and my boy Kyle. We have a blast, yo. We are the owners, of course, of Boink Studios, the company that brings you both these podcasts here, man. You can find us on the Facebook. Just go check out our Boink Studios page on Facebook. Be sure to click the like button and just keep clicking it, because we're sending out the cookies as we speak. That's your gift for clicking the like button. So God bless you and yours. Very awesome of you. We're also on the Twitter machine at Boink Studios. Please go give us a follow. And hey, we'll follow you back, yo. That's who we are, man. Also, please go check out our webpage. The address is tomclarkbr.wix.com/boink. And on that page is a bunch of original material written by yours truly. All the artwork is done by Kyle himself. The music that you hear on both the podcasts here are done by a good friend, Philip Fender. If anyone out there is interested in getting some artwork, original artwork, or some original music, please feel free to drop us a line. You can email us at boinkstudios@yahoo.com or send us a tweet. We'll be in touch. We're always willing to go the extra mile for our fans. And yes, we are available for freelance work. So please give us a call and we'll hook you up, bro. If you'd like to follow my work, I am on the Bleacher Report. Please go check me out on the WWE page as a featured columnist. 6 years for me there this year. I'm very proud of that. Hope you enjoy the writing. I still love doing it. It's a blast for me. You can also find me on the highly esteemed Camel Clutch blog. I also run my own blog, tomclarkbr.wix.com/blog. You can find me on Twitter at tomclarkbr. And you can also drop me an email, tomclarkbr@yahoo.com. That's a mouthful. You'd think I'd rehearse that crap all the time, and I don't. I just kind of spout it off anytime I feel like it. So, listen, man, I hope you've enjoyed the show. Again, this was another quick one, but number 50's on the way. Hope you're ready for that one. I can't wait till it gets here. It's going to be a blast. I think, I'm really looking forward to it, man. We're going to try to line up some guests. I might even have Kyle on the show this time, just as sort of a crossover special. We'll see what happens. Thanks so much for your comments, your questions, your words of wisdom, your praise, and your criticism. We take all we need and all we can get here at the show. And at Boink Studios, we do very much appreciate your patronage. And hey, we appreciate your business, man. That's what we're here for. Thanks for always tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for reading. And listen, please come back real soon because we'll be back. Just hang on tight, man, because Tom Clark's Main Event's coming back soon. Give us a listen as soon as we hit. And like I said, subscribe to Now and Today. And we will see you next time on Tom Clark's Main Event.